right, I think I'm recording, hopefully. Try number 3. Hi, my name is Alex Mays, and this is my final video presentation recording for uh, Management 520 for our personal Think Again plan presentation about our final paper. Basically, trying to give a summary of the things I learned in this class and my key takeaways, especially from the book that we read called Think Again by Adam Grant. So I really, first of all, enjoyed this class, enjoyed the book very much. So I struggle a lot of times to stay focused on an assigned reading, especially for a college course. I'm an engineer personally, so in school I was assigned a lot of not fun things to read, a lot of textbooks with equations, and this book was actually super interesting, and I probably would have read this even on my own accord. So I really enjoyed the things that Adam Grant had to say in the book and the takeaways that he was able to give me, and I really felt it was easy to write about it in the final paper because it was pretty captivating stuff. So he also backed up a lot of his points with research and like anecdotal sort of stories and experiences, which I thought was super cool. But yeah, I thought this book kind of gave me some comfort. So, like I said, I'm an engineer, so in my career, I'm kind of being paid to be right or foresee things, design things ahead of time and always have the right answers. So it can sort of get a little overwhelming at times to feel like you can never be wrong, you can never make a mistake, or else it's going to be costly. And I kind of let that leak over into my personal life sometimes, always feeling like I have to do everything perfect and be perfect in everything. And I thought this book actually gave me quite a bit of comfort in knowing that, you know, our lives and our experiences and our knowledge are sort of a fluid situation that changes over time, and that we should be treating life and learning as an ongoing journey rather than a destination where you're solving things or coming up with opinions and then holding them forever without ever changing them and being firm in what is right and what is wrong or what in some situations. So I'm just going to go through my key takeaways from each of the 9 highlights that we needed to put into the final report. So the first 3 were about individual lessons that I thought were important. So the first is just a simple key takeaway from the book in general, which is the concept of just rethinking and thinking scientifically. So Grant talks a lot about the mindsets of the politician, the preacher, the prosecutor, and basically the gist of what he's getting at, I believe, is that when we have stances on things, opinions, or thoughts or ideas, we tend to take an emotional charge to those ideas, and we're humans are emotional beings at our core, and I think we tend to cling to those things, and especially as part of our identity, which I'll mention later. And we also don't like to rethink ourselves because it sometimes feels like we're rethinking our identity. So when in reality, besides the things that you enjoy to do or the people that you love or experiences you've had, the stories you can tell, your ideas or thoughts or opinions can always be changing, and it's good to be changing them over time because it means you're learning new things and you're growing. So I really like that concept from Adam Grant, just to treat your life and sort of career as more of a science experiment that is being further and further developed over time rather than a destination. It's more of a journey. The second uh, takeaway that I had was the idea of logical confidence. So Adam Grant talks about people becoming overconfident and mount stupid, where people get just a little bit of base knowledge about a subject and then sort of go overboard in the fact that they feel like they're an expert and they can speak on it confidently in front of people and ignore maybe someone who is more experienced than them because they feel overconfident in their ability to contribute to a situation. Um, and Adam Grant talks about this and how it can really hinder people, especially in the decision making process and in leadership. And he talks about how it's important to be confident. Underconfidence and sort of fear is also a strong emotion that can definitely hinder you, especially in your ability to lead. But being overconfident is just as detrimental, and you should always strive to be continuously learning and not feel like you know something as soon as you know a little bit about it. So I really like that concept, and I try to practice that today and keep that in mind. The third concept is the idea of detachment that I really enjoy learning about. So, uh, like I mentioned a little bit ago, humans tend to attach themselves to every sort of part of their life, especially when it comes from inside our own heads. So if it's our own idea or opinion that we form, we a lot of times like to attach to it. And then if we need to change our mind or go as someone goes against what we think and something's disproven, we feel sometimes a little bit attacked or emotionally or psychologically unsafe. And really, that's not the best way to go about thinking about things, especially when you're doing problem solving and trying to be innovative or anything like that, or political opinions as well. Uh, we should be treating our thoughts and ideas and our knowledge as fluid and detached from who we are as people. So something I really, really enjoyed thinking about, because sometimes I like to attach my identity to how often I'm right at work, or how well I designed something, or how I solved a problem. But in reality, your identity is more about what you love to do, who you love to be with, the experiences that you have had, and the stories you can tell about your life, and not so much what knowledge you all necessarily have, or what opinion you hold. So I really like that key takeaway. The next was in the group level sort of interpersonal things. So uh, first one is the art of conflict, the concept of conflict. So Adam Grant talks about conflict a lot and talks about it's something that you're never going to be able to get away from. And humans, as long as they're on this earth, are going to be having conflicts. It's always great to consider it more of a you and the person or group you're having a conflict with. It's you and them together against the problem rather than you versus them. So treating the problem as sort of a dance that you have to go back and forth and give ground and learn more about each other in order to reach an agreement, rather than feeling as if it's you versus them and someone has to come out as victorious on the other side. So that's definitely an interesting concept that I definitely think is really applicable to life in all aspects. The next concept is that Adam Grant just talks about stereotypes quite a bit in a couple of chapters, and he doesn't say we should ignore stereotypes. He actually, lays out that some of the stereotypes we think of are actually true, and he talks about like sports fans sort of hating each other and things like that. And it's not that you should be, generalizing people and definitely not treating other people differently based on some harsh generalization, but you probably should understand what stereotypes exist in the world in order to try to break some of those biases when you're thinking about things. So people talk about unconscious bias a lot, and a lot of that is that you don't even understand some of the stereotypes you may be even thinking about subconsciously. So when you understand what stereotypes exist, and what groups of people may or may not could have conflict due to underlying subconscious biases, it can help you sort of especially be a better like mediator in when you have conflicts that you can foresee, especially in the workplace, like as a leader. So I think that was an interesting concept of not just ignoring stereotypes, or casting them out as not real, but in some senses they are real. They may not be derogatory in any way, but there are generalizations that are sometimes cause people to have biases against or for each other that can cause conflict, especially in the workplace. And the next concept was just the concept of empathy. So this one's fairly simple. I mean, we should be treating others with respect and coming to them, especially in a negotiation or a time of conflict, with active listening and respectful inquiries towards them. And Adam Grant actually talks about how the most persuasive people and persuasive negotiators and debaters are those people who show empathy for others and show that they respect them before they engage in any sort of debate or controversy between the other person. So the last three, just for the sake of time, I'll try to go a little quicker this time. The last three are organizational level concepts. So the next one is embracing complexity. So I really liked this one. So basically, a lot of things in our society today, people boil down to a black and white issue or a pro and con two-sided issue with very little complexity. Either you're for something or against it, and there's no gray area, and things are very simple. It's either this or that. Well, Adam Grant talks about how very rarely in life are things that simple and that black and white, and we should really be embracing the complexities of life and treating all situations as a learning opportunity together and not sort of fall in this binary complex of thinking. And then the last two, I'll just touch on briefly for the sake of time. So, active engagement and promoting a learning culture. So, especially in an organization, it's very important to push people to think for themselves, and to push them and hold them sort of accountable for striving to learn about others, learn about things in their workplace, to grow outside of their day-to-day operational, day-to-day jobs and their things that they're doing, their tasks, and also to be not only just relying on who is the most experienced or the most knowledgeable person to solve a problem, but maybe to come together as a group and force people to think together and think outside the box, as a sort of a way of actively engaging them and stimulating their minds in order for them to learn. Because he talks about how developing learning culture is has to be active, and it cannot be sort of just a passive transfer of knowledge. It has to be a hands-on sort of approach that organizations take to change their culture. So in conclusion, I've really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I think I'm going over the time limit here, so I'll conclude with thank you for this class. I really appreciated it, and I really will take these takeaways into my personal and professional life. So thank you.